Next up, Damon McDonald is moderator on the page. He's a terrific contributor. He's very knowledgeable about health issues. He has a really good understanding of abolitionist theory. He's very, very good at tabling. He's got a lot, he's very creative when it comes to that particular form of advocacy. And last night, he and I started conspiring, and he's also knowledgeable about filmmaking, and we're going to make a documentary about abolitionist veganism. So I'm invested in this guy. Be nice to him. Damon, go ahead.
Hello. Sorry, bear with me for a second. I've just got a few photos that are going to go with what I'm speaking about today. So I'm just going to speak briefly and generally about how to get set up with tabling. Okay. So firstly, I think if you want to start tabling, identifying a location first is a good idea. Ascertain where you want to table. Will it be on the street or at a particular event, local markets, or in a park, etc. I highly recommend putting yourself in a high traffic flow area. Basically somewhere where there are a lot of people is ideal. Once you identify where you're going to table, that'll dictate the type of setup, and other costs or requirements may rule out a particular location. If it's just on the street, you can start with a very small table and minimal setup. Check with your local council or whatever relevant authority as to what is or isn't allowed there. If it's a market stall or event, there may be a particular criteria to be met as required by the event or market organiser, but no matter where you go, the cost of the setup will vary, but most options you can still work with on little or no budget, depending on how resourceful you are and how much time you have. Obviously, I believe that an impact sign is important, and it must be clear that you're there to talk about veganism. If you want people to approach you to have engaged conversations about veganism, then I believe you must use the word vegan in your main sign. It can be handwritten or printed, and impact doesn't mean it has to be big. Starting off with a small table on the street will mean a relatively small sign, but you can make it stand out. Fantastic example, New Zealand Vegan on Facebook. That's a great example, starting off with a very minimalist setup when she first began. Like that is a small table, but she's made a huge impact there. And she has pictures of when she started out and evolving the setup over time as she goes. As far as materials are concerned, I don't believe you need a lot to start off with, or even now I only use 3 or 4 handouts, some printouts and pictures on the table to give people something to look at. The handouts are great for people to take away, but most importantly they have to be the right handouts that will send people to the right places for information, such as the website howdoigovegan.com. The resources and posters that I use are actually on that site to print out as well, and I get leaflets supplied by the IVA, International Vegan Association, and also print off the Abolitionist Approach leaflet available on the Abolitionist Approach page, available on howdoigovegan.com. I find that the really important thing with tabling though is not the materials, but it's the conversations. The materials may help spark conversations, and the signage may bring people in, but it's what we say and how we interact which determines the effectiveness of our advocacy in educating people. So in summary, I'd say scout a location. If you're in a regular spot, people will come back to you to continue the conversation, and I think it's really critical. Vanda and Christian do that, and they know how well that works. Gather your materials together, your signs, or make them. Borrow, hire, or buy an appropriate table if you don't have one. If you want help or advice, don't hesitate to contact someone already doing it. We're always more than happy to help. I'm on Facebook, I'm available to help. New Zealand Vegan, I'm sure she wouldn't hesitate to help people. So get all set up, but the main aspect of your setup will be and should be educating yourself first. At least make sure you've read Eat Like You Care and the new Abolitionist Approach book. Use the other resources available to really understand what veganism as a moral imperative actually means and how we must convey this to people. I always focus on bringing the conversations I have back to the moral message. For people starting out, I can say you will also learn as you go. The more conversations you have, the better you will get. I was very nervous starting out, but it's that first great engaged conversation you have that makes you realise that people do want to know, they want to learn and listen. And as has already been mentioned here, and we all know, we all do advocacy, we all do abolitionist advocacy, it's also very important that we listen to them. We let them speak, we ask them questions, and we really engage them. But also try and keep them focused on their own individual moral responsibility to non-humans. Test your conversational advocacy skills on those around you. Friends, family, people on the bus or the train, at the shops, anywhere with anyone. I mean, I think you should be trying to educate these people every chance you get, any way you can, but look at it as an opportunity to be able to practice and improve your advocacy skills. If you haven't heard Professor Francione's commentary number 19, which is about 5 principles for talking to non-vegans about veganism, it's on the howdoigovegan.com website, YouTube there as well. I think it's an absolute must listen for anyone who wants to do tabling or any vegan at all, really, and it's also in the new Abolitionist Approach book as well. And all of those commentaries by Professor Francione are great and absolutely well worth listening to. In closing, I'd say please, if you can start advocating in any way, advocate from an abolitionist educational perspective. It works, and you can start now. I think the non-humans that we're doing this for need us to stand up and do everything that we can to help and educate people to go vegan and truly shift the paradigm. Only a clear, consistent and uncompromising message of justice will do this. Thank you.